Good evening and welcome to our April 2026 full council meeting. Tonight's meeting is being held in City Council chambers and is being streamed live on City 12 TV, as well as the City Council's Facebook and YouTube pages. We also continue to post meeting information and materials on the city's website. The meeting will now come to order, and I ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Gruber. Councilmember Leslie Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Lupien.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Monroe.
Here.
Councilmember Patterson.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Vice President Harris.
Here.
President Melendez.
Here.
Thank you.
So before we begin this evening, we pause to extend our deepest condolences to the family and friends of Mev McMahon. Mev was one of our original NIA community planners and was instrumental in shaping the program we have today in the city of Rochester. Mev believed in community and was unselfish, even in death, by donating her heart and lungs. We also pause to extend our condolences to Assemblymember Damon Meeks, his wife Katrina, and his entire family on the loss of their daughter, Ravon Simone Hall. There are no words adequate to the weight of losing a child, only the embrace of a community that stands beside them in grief. We ask that you join us in a moment of silence in both of their memories. May they rest in eternal peace, and may their families find comfort in the love that surrounds them. Thank you. Councilmember Leslie Smith, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? This time I'll ask the council members to please join me at the podium for tonight's recognitions. So April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. 1 in 6 women and 1 in 33 men will experience sexual assault in their lifetime, and right here in our city. Survivors stand among us every day in our neighborhoods, our schools, our families, and our workplaces. Tonight, we choose to say loud and clearly, Rochester City Council stands with survivors. We stand against silence, and we stand in deep gratitude for their advocates, counselors, educators, and organizations who show up every single day to do this critical, life-changing work. For our recognition ceremony tonight, we are honoring the people and organizations in Rochester who work tirelessly to prevent sexual violence and support survivors of sexual assault. Will everyone who is here for the recognition of Sexual Assault Awareness Month please join us in the front? And let's give them a round of applause as they come up. The work you all do is integral to building a Rochester of safer neighborhoods, quality housing, and access to opportunity. We want to take a moment to truly honor each of you standing here tonight. The work of preventing sexual violence and supporting survivors is not easy work. It is emotionally demanding. It is relentless, and it often goes unseen. But because of you, someone in Rochester found the courage to come forward. A survivor felt believed. A young person learned that their body belongs to them and that they deserve to be treated with dignity. On behalf of Rochester City Council and the Rochester community, we thank you for everything that you do. We'll take a moment for pictures. So council members are going to go behind on the dais really quick to get this picture. So next I'd like to invite Zamir Showtime Dillard, a National Silver Gloves boxing champion, to the front. Zamir, please know that this entire room is proud of you. Winning the 119-pound division at the National Silver Gloves Boxing Championship in Independence, Missouri is no small feat. It is the result of early mornings, late nights, sacrifice, and an unshakable belief in yourself. You stepped onto a national stage and proved that you belonged there, and you represented your city well. Tonight, Rochester City Council and the rest of our community celebrates you. We want you to know that we believe in you, and we cannot wait to see what it is that you do next. Let's give it up for him. If Zamir's family's here, we welcome the family to join us in the front. Next, I'd like to invite Renew up to the front. So April is National Fair Housing Month, and tomorrow we mark Earth Day. There is one organization within the city of Rochester that embodies both of these causes more powerfully than Rochester Energy Efficiency and Weatherization. Because the truth is, when it comes to building and expanding quality housing and protecting our environment, they are not separate issues. When families cannot afford to heat their homes, when aging housing stock drives up energy costs for the residents who can at least afford it, that becomes both a housing problem and a climate problem. Renew understands that, and they have built their entire mission around being part of the solution. As Renew celebrates its 10th anniversary, it is fitting to note that their collective impact work has eliminated more than 12,058 tons of residential greenhouse gas emissions from the atmosphere. Let's give it up for that. Renew's unwavering commitment to environmental justice, reducing our community's carbon footprint, and improving energy efficiency, as well as its support of homeowners and Rochester's and residents throughout Rochester and Monroe County, is a testament to their dedication to a healthier, stronger, and more sustainable region. We have a proclamation on the 10th anniversary of Renew that we are going to share with Elizabeth McDade on behalf of Renew. And this is just acknowledging all of the work that I've highlighted here and then some over the last 10 years. And City Council really appreciates the work that you continue to do. Any community partners for Renew here today? Join in the front. Well, we certainly welcome everyone to stay, but this would be a great time if you did not want to stay before we get into the business. So next, we have the approval of the minutes by Councilmember Monroe.
Sorry, one moment. Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting on March 24, 2026 be approved as published in the official sheets of the proceedings.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
The council submits disclosure of interest forms from Councilmember Gruber on introductory 110 and President Melendez on introductory number 127.
Thank you. These documents will be received and filed. It is time for the presentation and reference of petitions and any other communications. Any petitions? Hearing none, we will move on to the introduction of and action upon local laws, ordinances, and resolutions. There are two statements of necessity before us. Today I submitted a statement of necessity, introductory number 136, authorizing a mandatory agreement for conflict counsel services for litigation involving the Police Accountability Board. Per the City Council rules, the Council may vote upon a resolution without reference to or discharge from a standing committee if it is accompanied by a message of necessity, of immediate passage, or immediate consideration, signed by me. I will now take a motion and a second to consider introductory number 136.
Move it.
It's been moved, seconded, and we'll vote on considering introductory number 136. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Any discussion on introductory number 136? I'll lead off with, make sure I have my bearings on this. Yes. All right, so first and foremost, I want to thank Mancuso Brightman for service to the City of Rochester and continuing that. This agreement will, in part, play a role in adding legal services supports for any further action related to the PAB and will support a co-counsel model moving forward. Any additional questions? Comments? Hearing none. Councilmember Martin?
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm really proud of this body uniting to fight to restore PAB's investigatory powers. So I'm very happy to be signing this and moving this forward.
Thank you. Any additional? All right, we'll move to a vote on introductory number 136. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I also submitted introductory number 137, authorizing agreement for litigation involving the Police Accountability Board. Per council rules, the council may vote on upon a resolution without reference to or discharge from a committee if it's accompanied by a message of necessity, signed by me. I will take a motion and a second to consider 137.
Move it.
It's been moved, seconded. Now we vote on consideration. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I open up for discussion. Similarly, I'd like to thank Andy Celli of Emery, Celli, Brinkeroff, Abadi, Ward, and Matzel. Hopefully I got that pronunciation right. For agreeing to provide services to the City of Rochester at this point, and really joining us to previous litigation efforts that we've had with his firm. And I believe that this shows in good faith that the City of Rochester is committed to accountability in our community. Additional comments? Hearing none, we'll move 137 to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Chairperson Patterson, the Neighborhoods, Jobs, and Housing Committee report.
To the Council, the Neighborhoods, Jobs, and Housing Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 95, authorizing the sale of real estate. Introductory number 101, authorizing the sale of real estate and appropriation from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, a loan agreement, and payment in lieu of taxes for the First Genesis Senior Living Housing Project. Introductory number 104, authorizing the sale of school number 29. Introductory number 105, approving appointments to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Introductory number 106, amending the Municipal Code, Section 90-16, with respect to lead paint inspection requirements. The Neighborhood Jobs and Housing Committee recommends for consideration the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 96, amending the zoning map by changing the zoning classification of numbers 759, 771, and 775 Park Avenue and numbers 157 and 161 Brunswick Street. Introductory number 97, local law authorizing an amendment to the district plan for the High Falls Business Improvement District. Introductory number 98, local improvement ordinance authorizing the 2026-2027 budget, establishing the 2026-2027 assessments, and authorizing an agreement for the High Falls Business Improvement District. Introductory number 99, local improvement ordinance establishing the cost of special services for the East Avenue Alexander Street Entertainment District for 2026-2027. Introductory number 100, local improvement ordinance authorizing special work and services related to the South Avenue Alexander Street Open Space District for 2026-2027. The Neighborhood Jobs and Housing Committee recommends the following entitled legislation to be held in committee. Introductory number 102, authorizing the sale of the High Falls parking garage. Introductory number 103, authorizing the sale of 125 Charlotte Street for the development of 11 affordable owner-occupied townhouses. This report is respectfully submitted by Council Members LaShonda Leslie Smith, Council Member Mary Lupian, Vice President Lachey D. Harris, President Miguel A. Melendez Jr., and myself, Michael A. Patterson.
Thank you, Chairperson Patterson. That report will be received, filed, and published, and we'll proceed with the vote. Introductory number 95, authorizing the sale of real estate. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 96, amending the zoning map by changing the zoning classification of numbers 759, 771, and 775 Park Avenue and numbers 157 and 161 Brunswick Street. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 97, local law authorizing an amendment to the district plan for the High Falls Business Improvement District. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian.
No.
Councilmember Martin.
No.
Councilmember Monroe.
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith. Vice President Harris.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Introductory number 98, local improvement ordinance authorizing the 2026-27 budget, establishing the 2026-27 assessments, and authorizing an agreement for the High Falls Business Improvement District. This also requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian.
No.
Councilmember Martin.
No.
Councilmember Monroe.
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith. Vice President Harris.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes. Motion carries. Introductory number 99, local improvement ordinance establishing the cost of special services for the East Avenue Alexander Street Entertainment District for 2026-27. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe.
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith. Vice President Harris.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Introductory number 100, local improvement ordinance authorizing special work and services related to the South Avenue Alexander Street Open Space District for 2026-27. Roll call.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe.
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith. Vice President Harris.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Introductory number 101, authorizing the sale of real estate, an appropriation from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, a loan agreement, and payment in lieu of taxes for the First Genesis Senior Living Housing Project. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 104, authorizing the sale of school number 29.
President Melendez?
Yes, Vice President Harris.
Yes, I have a question to the administration, through you to the administration.
Yes, please.
To the administration, I'm aware that the 19th Ward Community Association brought forth some concerns related to the parking to the planning board meeting. And can someone from NBD address and let me know how those concerns were addressed?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Thank you, Council Member.
Thank you.
As you pointed out, just yesterday, in fact, the charter school went before the City Planning Commission with an application for a special use permit for Rockside to open at this location. The Commission did discuss the topic about parking last night for a considerable time. Ultimately, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to approve the special use permit with no conditions. But I think it's important to note that it's approved for a school with up to 200 students. The school prior to its closing, School 29, operated, I believe, with roughly 500 students. So we're talking about a smaller school operation. And also important to note that if Rockside wants to expand their enrollment anywhere above that 200 student threshold, they would have to come back to the City Planning Commission to amend their special use permit.
Okay, so it just come back to the planning commission, and then that vote is decided there, and it comes back.
Right, exactly, and they'd have to demonstrate that how they would handle the additional enrollment.
Okay, were there any other concerns brought forth about this project from the 19th Ward during that discussion?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lupian.
Yes, I am going to be a no on this one. As I stated in committees, I would like to see the city school district buildings being developed for housing. And I understand that there was a housing plan that was submitted during the RFP, but the RFP wasn't specifically written for housing. And that's what I would like to see going forward to address our severe shortage of affordable housing.
Any additional comments?
Yes.
Councilmember Martin, followed by Councilmember Patterson.
Yes, I also will be voting no on this. My reasoning being that I would like to see this go to housing. We haven't had a chance to see what the other RFPs look like. And so I'm looking forward to looking at what the housing application said and how hopefully we can utilize this building for housing.
Councilmember Patterson.
Question for the administration. We recently sold a school in my district over in North Goodman and Bay. Was there anything different in this RFP as opposed to the previous RFP that was offered, that put out there for a school?
No, similar RFP, similar conditions.
Okay, so that, and if memory serves me correctly, that one passed without any concern or issue. President Melendez, are you aware of the organization that bought that building?
I don't know if I can. Let me ask Corporation Counsel if I can even talk about it.
You can answer the question.
Okay. Yes, I am.
Okay, no problem. All right. So I'm going to be voting in favor of this for a couple of reasons. You know, I have been an advocate for more quality, affordable housing in all manner of form, but I am also an advocate for school choice. I believe that black and brown families should be able to choose the school that they want to go to for their kid. And if this organization is expanding, and they are, it's Rockside. They currently are in rented space over in the East District. They're looking to grow out into a high school. I believe that those families should have that right and that choice. This organization has the cash on hand to repurpose a building that was built as a school, to use as a school to continue educating our children. There is no conflict in using a building that was built for a purpose for that particular purpose. I believe that we must pursue these opportunities when they present themselves, and we must not make housing the enemy of education. We can do both, and so we should. And so I will be voting in favor of this item.
Thank you for that. I also will be voting in favor of this item. I think that, you know, particularly when you have a proven institution in the city of Rochester providing services, and my understanding is Rockside also does things in in the Buffalo area. When you have this type of institution that's doing well and is able to grow, and we have an asset that we can sell immediately and not hold on to, I think it's a win-win for us. I certainly understand the sentiment that we should be also looking at how do we convert some of these buildings to housing. I think that there's space for both things, as Councilmember Patterson said, but I certainly will be supporting this project. And I would also say, I think if it does not pass, I do not know that this high school can open in the fall. Any additional comments? Councilmember Leslie Smith.
I do.
Let me just
You
say
wanna say something?
before she goes, yeah, exactly. So during committee meetings on this item, Councilmember Leslie Smith recused herself on the basis that she was previously a trustee of the organization. That struck my ear as unusual. So we did a little more research, and Councilmember Leslie Smith actually left the board 3 years earlier. She's not a trustee, not a board member. And so we've redone that analysis. There's no actual conflict. There's nothing to disclose. There's no purpose to recuse. So with that said, continue.
Thank you.
Thank you. I do also support this project. For one, as the parent of a child who went to school 29, and as a 19th Ward resident, I understand very intimately the space in and around that particular building. I think some of the concerns that came up from the 19th Ward Association was around parking. Those have been addressed, given that the school is going to serve a smaller number of students than the previous school. If we were to put housing there, which I do agree, we have a shortage of housing and we have to figure that out. But I do think that in that particular section of the neighborhood, the density is such that 200 units of housing would cause quite a bit of congestion in that neighborhood, and probably not supported by that neighborhood. And this is also an opportunity for us to give back to that neighborhood what was lost with the school closing.
Any additional comments? Oh, Councilmember Lupien.
I'll just say one more thing. I'm looking at the model that Push in Buffalo. They have School 77. They did senior housing on one level. They did multifamily housing on another level. Then they had community organizations on the first level that used the gym. They had a solar panel on the roof that paid for the electricity for the people in the building. So this is the kind of like innovative use that I'm thinking of, and that, you know, maybe wouldn't be jam-packed with units, but would have a variety of uses.
All right, roll call vote.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupien,
No.
Councilmember Martin,
No.
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
No.
Vice President Harris,
Yes.
President Melendez.
I'm going to be voting no tonight for the purposes of having the ability to reconsider this in the future. Motion fails. Introductory number 105. Approving appointments to the Zoning Board of Appeals. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 106. Amending the Municipal Code, Section 90-16, with respect to lead paint inspection requirements. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Councilmember Patterson, do you have a motion related to introductory number 103?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 103 from committee. Can I have a second?
Second.
There's been okay, there's a second. So we'll vote on discharging introductory number 103 from committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
One
Can we get a roll call?
roll call.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupien,
No.
Councilmember Martin,
No.
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith, Vice President Harris.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes. Okay, the motion carries. So I'm going to open this up for discussion, and I think there'll probably be a lot of discussion on the item, so I'll start, and then I'll actually just go down the line from left to right. So get prepared. But with that, I may hog the floor for a little bit. So I'm going to pass, or have the staff pass maybe, some documents. I took a lot of notes and I prepared some remarks. I'm going to spend some time on this. So first and foremost, I'm personally grateful to the many who have reached out on both sides of the issue on this particular sale. The debate sparked a lot of community interest. In saying that, I want to go back to a time before diving into the present. The site at 125 Charlotte Street was initially prepared for a child care center. The site was prepared for future development, was even sold at one point, and then sat vacant and fenced in for a while before the city reacquired the land. The parcel was fenced in gravel, and in a request from the community to the Evans administration, was temporarily greened while the future development process took shape. I spoke to the mayor directly about this, and it was always deemed to be a temporary proposition. In addition to Interloop East, we have the long-anticipated Interloop North. In the Interloop North plan, I offer you all Exhibit 1, or Attachment F, that's in front of you, which focuses on the future green space and expansion of Anderson Park. Anderson Park will be larger than 125 Charlotte Street and will return an original Olmsted Park back to its original form. In addition, School 58 will gain a massive green space expansion. While I understand that School 58 campus is across Main, it is close. The neighborhood that surrounds 125 Charlotte Street is not park poor. Many of us across the entire city have to walk a short distance to green space. We are a city with many green spaces, as evidenced by Exhibits 2 and 3, or Attachments C and D. There are many within walking distance of this location. I appreciate the affinity for green space, but I have a greater affinity for housing and access to creating generational wealth for families at 60% AMI. We aren't voting on the project. We're voting on the sale of land. But the excitement I have is for the project itself. The idea that we can potentially support a new housing project that will create home ownership opportunities, expand into the long-awaited push for ADUs, and do it in a neighborhood where the property values are significantly stable is a critical win for our city. With the utmost respect to the important work we do, many of our new construction projects lose equity the moment you turn the key in the door. Still the right thing to do overall, but this presents a very new and different opportunity at 125 Charlotte Street. When the key turns, the new owner gains equity. It is such a unique situation. Every council member up here on the dais walks to a park. Most neighborhoods are within the standard 10-minute walk to a park. This site has been on the city website for years as a future development site, and the request for proposal being released was part of the administration's strategy to create more housing opportunities in our city. Home ownership, 60% AMI, ADUs for 9 of the prospective owners with additional income opportunities, townhomes for home ownership, affordability requirements for 15 years, opportunity for equity beyond that. I will now point you to Exhibit 4, or Attachment E. There is no other viable site in the same neighborhood that would accommodate the design and provide the same contiguous space. Our housing team offered 2 other sites for consideration that met the requirements. One was the Laura Street site, which was designated for a municipal building, and either way would not provide the same equity opportunities for a home buyer. The other is in front of Strong Museum and is not ideal for this purpose. It is also of note that the land will not transfer and will remain green in the interim until the sale happens. As a city-owned parcel, I presume it will remain until plans are in place for development and the sale actually occur. I also heard a lot about the comprehensive plan with respect to this site. So I spent the time going back. Here's what I'd like to share with council and the community. Page 123. Quote, our housing policy goals should be to maintain and make the strongest market areas more inclusive. Revitalize and strengthen middle market areas, and stabilize and position weaker market areas for community development and job growth. Page 126. One of the biggest challenges facing our community, given the age of our housing stock, the increasing diversity of our community, and the relatively low wages and high levels of poverty in the city, is to provide a range of housing choice that meets the needs and preferences at price points that city residents can afford. Page 130. Exhibit 5 that's in front of you is a housing market typology map. If you look at the map, the pink is the hottest demand neighborhoods for housing in the city of Rochester. 125 Charlotte Street is within that map. Page 153. Pursue new housing development that grows the city's population and fosters the creation of vibrant, equitable neighborhoods. Housing Goal 4D. Encourage the development of new, creative, emerging housing types and styles that reflect the varied needs and evolving preferences of city residents. This could include workforce housing, condos, co-housing, ranch homes, tiny or small homes, micro apartments. I'm going to pause here. In-law apartments, aka ADUs, senior communities, live workspaces, etc. With respect to vacant land, the comp plan suggests the following on page 167. In the strongest demand housing market, so the pink on the map that is in front of you, vacant land in this market must be made available for new residential and mixed-use development. Land should be reused as housing with an eye toward ensuring the new housing development includes dwelling units that are affordable to residents at varying income levels. As part of the vacant land action plan on page 173, VNT 1D, inventory the lots identified as in the pink in the 2018 citywide housing market study and identify, number 1, lots that should be provided to housing providers for new house constructions for home ownerships, and 2, lots that would together be the subject of a request for proposal to generate interest in getting them redeveloped with housing for all income levels. I want to read a portion of one constituent email I received. Financial viability and missing middle housing. I've had the chance to work with the architects and with Suzanne and Sean on this project. It is exactly in line with the best practice housing principles. Townhomes with ADUs allow for meaningful, attainable housing that is financially possible in this current moment where federal funds and LIHTC are difficult to secure. To unstick the housing market, we need more missing middle housing like this to serve as a model for our community and the rest of the inner loop infill. While these aren't a perfect solution to affordability, they are significantly more affordable than almost anything else currently being built. So we've heard a lot about the comp plan's calls for green space, but we did not hear much about the comp plan's approach to home ownership development of sites in high-demand neighborhoods, and I offer this as part of your consideration. Lastly, I just released a report on homelessness. We need all the housing types. For all of these reasons and many more that I don't want to continue to take the floor for, I'm in support of this project. Regardless of where the vote lands, I wish the development team nothing but the best and thank them for all their hard work on this unique and thoughtful proposal. Now we'll go down the line. Councilmember Gruber.
Thanks. Let me start by first thanking all the people who are not here tonight but have engaged on this matter in the last couple of months, I guess, at this point. I've been around the block a few times. It's been 9 years coming to these meetings and voting on different projects, and this has been truly one of the most thoughtful projects with in terms of the thoughtfulness of the discourse that I've seen. A lot of people, a lot of opinions, but it's been respectful. It's been useful conversation, which I'll get to in a moment. And I just want to thank everyone for chiming in and engaging. I am voting yes on this as well. And before I explain why, I also want to just say to, again, the folks who are not in the room tonight, but who have been imploring us to preserve the East End Green, there's been so much, we've heard so much in terms of people trying to justify the utility of that space. I just want to say to those folks, totally heard. Don't need to convince me that the space has been utilized and the space has been important, that the space has made you feel better. That is what green space does. Green space has tremendous benefits. We all know what they are. And I wish everyone could have green space exactly where they wanted it. I feel badly that people were justifying the utilization of the space. I drive by it all the time. It's used. It's nice. And I totally understand why people are fighting for it. But I am voting yes for a couple of key reasons that President Melendez already laid out, and I'll just summarize them because he said it much nicer than I can. One, and first and most importantly, we all acknowledge there's a housing crisis. It has been stated by every member of this body and probably every elected official in every city across the country several times for the past several years. There are a lot of tools to use to address a housing crisis. The single most important one is to build more housing. We should not overcomplicate this. Building more housing is the first thing we do to address the housing crisis. I also think we all acknowledge the problem of poverty in our community. We all talk about it all the time. But the even more nefarious side of poverty is the concentration of poverty in Rochester. And one of the best things that we can do is to deconcentrate poverty by building affordable housing in the East District, which is another reason why I'm going to vote yes. And finally, I just believe that we need to allow density where we have created the conditions for density, which is what the Inner Loop East is. So for all those reasons, I will be supporting it. I'm not by any means trying to diminish the utility of the East End Green. And I know it's not a perfect solution, but I do believe in the idea of 10 minutes walk to park. And we've spent $3 million. This council has approved $3 million on MLK Park in the last year. Everyone deserves green space. It can't be everywhere people want it to be. And I'm really proud of the way we've invested in green space and frankly invested in our tree canopy, among other things. The last thing I'll say, I'll say two last things. One is President Melendez already mentioned that this space, I think you mentioned this space, should and will be utilized by people. If this project moves forward, it will remain ownership of the city, and people should be able to use it as they have been until financing is secured and construction starts. The other important caveat to me is to make sure that the developers have some level of urgency to secure funding and to move forward, especially given the fact that there is all this money from the state, like block by block right now. So I would hope, I asked Commissioner Frisch in the committee meeting about a timeline. He said 2 to 3 years. I would hope that it can be even faster, like 18 months is the statute of limitations that we would give. Truly, the last thing I'll say is this could not come at a better time. We have this week released the zoning code, the draft zoning code. This council is going to be presented with so many different controversies around land use, around density, around housing, around green space, and none of them are going to be easy. None of these decisions are easy. No matter how council members vote tonight, I'm sure no one feels wonderful about having to pick a side when you're presented with such a dichotomy. But that is what we are going to be up against for the next several months as we debate on the zoning code. And I have to say, back to the initial point, we only address the housing crisis by building and by creating density. And for that reason, I'm voting yes.
Vice President Harris.
I would like to start by saying I concur with President Melendez and Councilmember Gruber. I'd like to add some remarks. I'm voting yes for this project, and I'll start by saying creating pathways to homeownership that generates instant equity is one of the most effective and necessary strategies for addressing the widening wealth gap, reducing childhood poverty, and stabilizing communities. Instant equity in housing allows the buyer to purchase homes at below market rates or through structured subsidies, ensuring that one day they will own an asset that will be worth more than what they paid. I know that because I had that ability to do that. And that's not very often that you can buy a house with instant equity, whether it's in this situation or in the regular market. This immediately shifts families from renting, where there's no wealth built, to ownership, where equity begins to grow and financial mobility becomes possible. This approach reflects the principles of greenlining, which is the opposite of redlining, a proactive strategy to close the racial wealth gap by expanding home ownership opportunities for Black, Indigenous, and people of color, BIPOC communities. The urgency is clear. Studies show in Monroe County there remains an estimated 40% gap in home ownership rates between white households and BIPOC households. This disparity is rooted in the long-standing systemic barriers that continue to limit access to home ownership and wealth building. And I haven't even addressed the rest of our communities and our populations. This is just a little snip. The connection is also to child well-being is equally critical. Findings consistently reflected in the recent childhood poverty report that I put out shows that housing instability is a key driver of poverty outcomes. In contrast, those children whose parents own homes benefit in two meaningful ways. They experience greater housing stability, and they gain access to a long-term asset that can support educational attainment, economic mobility, and generational wealth. The mayor and I just recently put out a estate planning summit, Martha L. Hope Rock Estate Planning Summit just recently, and we were working on giving folks in our community strategies and how they're going to build generational health by preserving their legacy. We would like to reinforce, with that, we reinforce a parallel truth that wealth building is only impactful if it can be preserved and transferred. So too often, families are buying homes in this community, in historically marginalized communities, which is redlined. They lose property and assets due to a lack of estate planning, unclear titles, and heir issues. And it continues to compound. Home ownership is not enough. It must be paired with education, and we must continue to build more housing. And this project is a demonstration of doing it the right way. And I'm not saying that we should not do the other housing, like the buy the block and other neighborhoods and stuff, but this puts a stake in the ground with something new that we haven't done, building housing project, a development with instant equity for families. I got more to say, but I won't say it all because I think that my colleagues have said quite a bit. But I want to close with the data is clear. The connections are undeniable between housing, childhood poverty, and generational wealth. Therefore, I am voting in support of this. Thank you.
Councilmember Leslie Smith.
I just first want to start by thanking everyone who reached out, whether you were for or against this project. I think it speaks volumes when people take the time to care about something and engage in a civic process. I did my very best to respond to the many emails that I received on this project. Very much like my colleagues, I am in favor of this, and it was a difficult decision because I also value green space, and even more than that, I value community voice and community being able to shape their own community. However, being placed in this seat, it gives us also a fiscal responsibility. We spent a ton of time collecting all the data from the 2034 plan. Yes, green space was included in that, but also housing was included in that, as President Melendez have already articulated. This was a site that was previously slated for development. Had it been a site that was slated as green space, as a park, and now we decided that we wanted to change our mind about that, I would have never been in support of that. But because we were already moving forward with a development project, it made sense for us to continue moving that way. And on top of all of that, it is an excellent project. We do not see many housing projects that have a scale of affordability. I know it's been said that this project may not be affordable, and it may not be affordable to all, but it is affordable to a group of individuals who are the working poor, who need to have some discretionary income to be able to contribute to the economic vitality of their community in and around them. And so for that reason and so many other reasons, I am in support of this project. And I do hope that the community will continue to advocate for what is important to them, regardless of where we land on this particular project.
Councilmember Lupien.
Yeah, I want to start off by thanking everyone who came to speak, but also my colleagues for putting such thoughtful deliberation into this. And this is really our government in action. This is how it should be. We should be talking about our different views and trying to come up with the best solution for Rochester. I'm not against this project. I actually think it's an incredible project. It is innovative, it is new, it is something we haven't done before, and I am a big fan of ADUs. I'm not even against this project on this spot, because once Anderson Park is built out, it really replaces the need for this location. I just don't want to take away this space before we give them something to replace it. And the fight to preserve East End Green wasn't about keeping people out, it was about bringing people together. The Charlotte Street neighbors across incomes, cultures, abilities said clearly that this space is important to them and it gives people a place to connect. And that is something that it's a different kind of wealth other than financial. To have a stake in your community, to know your neighbors, to have a space to be when it's 500 degrees in your apartment in the middle of summer. What I would hope is that should this project go forward, that we can find a way to, even if it's small, give the neighbors a place to be so that they continue to build community with the people who live there right now. Thank you.
Councilmember Martin.
So in coming to this decision, we spent a lot of time listening, researching, learning, and engaging with community members across various sectors. Over 800 people signed a petition opposing this development. This is not a small feat. The voices of neighbors who opposed this development included working class, Black and brown, disabled residents, alongside homeowners and small business owners who will be directly impacted by the development. On the other side, we heard from hopeful working class families, urban planners, venture capitalists, small developers, real estate experts, and our colleagues in city government who support this development with good intentions and sincere hopes that it will result in the creation of 11 somewhat affordable homes. Everyone has said this, making this decision was very difficult. This proposal ultimately, for me, created a false choice between a proposed homeownership opportunity, and maintaining green communal space. This proposal, again, was very difficult to weigh, but my vote is a rejection of the idea that we can't have both a green space and affordable housing in the same space. For today, my vote is a no. I did ask for more time in hopes that there would be an opportunity to see how we could hold both in the same space. That wasn't where the body was, and I do respect where we are today. Further, I would say this proposal could have been developed in a way that at the very least considered rebuilding up on Anderson Park and creating an intentional community space for neighbors to gather while building out this development. We still are in very early stages. Looking at the numbers, I will say the 60% AMI from the numbers the administration sent us is less than $50,000. I am concerned about the possibility of this and what that would look like, how much of a person's income it'll cost. There's so many questions I still have unanswered. So right now, today, I can't be a yes. I do believe that this proposal should have also come with a plan on how we protect longstanding small businesses and maintain new ones, especially because we all know the impact of construction on businesses we care about. So as the city continues to fill the inner loop, I hope there are some lessons learned from this proposal that would result in more intentional community engagement, more dialogue, and really a shared vision of how we use land in our city.
Councilmember Monroe.
Possibly repetitive, but along with the other colleagues here, this was a very difficult decision, and we had excellent input from people who are both in favor and against the sale of this property. For me, the reason I'm going to be voting for it is because it's home ownership in the East End. We have a lot of rental, but we don't have a lot of home ownership. It's home ownership at a more affordable rate in one of the most desirable areas of this city. A lot of times when we see home ownership opportunities at an affordable rate, they are in neighborhoods that are already struggling. And it is very important that we continue to offer quality housing in those neighborhoods. But it's also important for us to make sure that people have an opportunity to slip into another neighborhood if they want to. And so while the green space is obviously a very important piece, the fact that when the Inner Loop East fill-in was being made and the fact that the infill was intended to be developed, this parcel already has all the special utilities connections and all of those things waiting for it underground. So it's very different than, say, a vacant lot or a standard residential vacant lot in the city where you have just, you know, your single family house connections. So this was really slated for construction in the first place, and I appreciate the fact that the city had taken the step of greening this when the other developments fell through, because that has given people the ability to have this green space for years. And it's hard. It's very hard to make the decision to not continue with that green space. But I balance it with the fact that the World of Inquiry is going to now have, once the fill happens, is going to have a large amount of fields and recreation that people will be able to use, and that there are still a number of great parks within that short walking distance. So I don't make this decision easily, but it is one where I think that doing the home ownership now, being able to tap into that state funding that we don't know when that's going to be there next, this is something that is, for now, time sensitive and that I would like to see proceed. Thank you.
Councilmember Patterson.
So it goes without saying I'm in favor of this item. I'm going to work hard to not be the grumpy old black man on council, but ladies and gentlemen, I humbly submit to you that I'm going to be the grumpy old black man on council when it comes to this project. When I came on council, the land that we are talking about was a moat. It was a roadway. The entire element of it was the inner loop. There was nothing there. We created homes. We created housing. We transformed this space. This space was originally queued up to be a daycare. And the argument in the position was, hey, that's what we want. This space is for development. That's what we're going to do with it. And it was primed and set for that purpose. And as a courtesy, the Evans administration decided to throw a little grass and some benches out there in the meantime while we were waiting to develop the space. It hasn't been a park. It was never designed to be a park, and it's not a park. And you know, I'm just going to go there. I'm going to be the old grumpy black man on council. This looks like segregation to me, ladies and gentlemen, because you know, I ain't never heard nobody vote against no housing development nowhere else in the city. But we come to the white neighborhood, and all of a sudden, oh my goodness, let us not integrate this space. Let us fill in the pool. I make that reference for a reason, because there were communities when they were asked and they were told to desegregate. Instead of desegregating, they filled in the pool. That's this space, ladies and gentlemen. This is this space where we get to integrate. I know I'm old. I know this is a scary concept for some people, but when I was a kid growing up, we talked about integration. We talked about not just racial integration, but economic integration. The program that they're going to be tapping into is a program that the state of New York said, you know what, Rochester, that looks pretty good. We're going to steal your idea and we're going to roll it out. And we're going to put some money to it. And it's economic integration, ladies and gentlemen. It's 60% AMI, which is working class folks. You know, it's funny because some of the complaints I hear from folks since I've been advocating for all types of housing all over the place, I've had folks come to me and say, you know, council member, I'm an LPN and I'm not broke, but y'all ain't building nothing and I can buy. And you know what? A lot of those LPNs won't be income eligible for this. They'll make too much money. But a lot of those working class folks, they will be eligible. You know, Thursday, I was not at Speak the Council. Thursday, I was in Selma, Alabama. I was in Selma, Alabama, looking at a modular housing program that is utilizing Section 8 vouchers, folks who have Section 8 vouchers, to pay for their housing. And I knew that this was a program, that this was available here in Rochester. It was available. And I'm like, you know what? Wow, that would fit great. And what I did while I'm in Selma, Alabama, I put the developer and the housing authority together and said, hey, when they're doing their outreach to the community, can they reach out to your Section 8 members to see if we can get them on deck for this? And they were like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Economic integration. The majority of the people who get Section 8 vouchers in this county are black and brown. Now, with the other housing developments that we do, I'm just going to say it. I ain't got no white people trying to move on Vaux Street. I ain't got no white folks knocking down the door to get into our buy to block programs. It just doesn't happen. Okay? But you know what? I bet you I'm going to have some low income white folks who are going to be coming into this, and I'm good with it. But I also know that the majority of the people who are going to be income eligible for this are going to be black and brown people. That's who's coming, y'all. That's who you're voting against. You know, it's amazing to me. You know, introductory number 104, authorizing sale of real estate. You vote against that. You vote against selling the school to be a school because you want more housing. And now you're telling me on this item, you're opposed to doing housing in a space that's built for development because you'd rather it stayed a vacant space. Make it make sense. All it can be is segregation. I guess now and forever? I hope not. I'm hoping we can get 7 votes to do the right thing. I'm hoping we can get 7 votes for integration. I'm hoping we can do that. I'm hoping we can find a way. But if we don't, man, isn't that a judgment on us?
Councilmember Smith.
I'm not going to be the angry black woman on council. I don't need. We got to switch seats, President Melendez. By the way, he might be wearing off on me. I'm just joking. Just reiterating with the rest of my colleagues that this was a difficult decision to make. Not because I'm not in agreement with the development, but because I heard the voice of community around this space. And so I wanted to be very thorough when making my decision. So I took time to meet with Commissioner Frisch to look at maps of the area because I wanted to be intentional. And I wrote down what I'm going to say so that the record is clear when y'all go back and talk about this. So I'm voting yes, and I want to be clear that I did not take the loss of green space lightly. I believe deeply in the importance of spaces that allow people to breathe, gather, and just be. And I wish we were not in a position where we have to weigh preserving space against correcting a historical harm that has locked black families out of neighborhoods like this for generations. But I also know that exclusion was not accidental. It was built into systems that determined who could live where, who could own, and who could build wealth. In a neighborhood where homes are selling for nearly $500,000, these homes priced at $175,000 to $200,000 are not just development. They are access. They are an interruption of a pattern that has gone on for far too long. And I want the record to reflect that this decision was made with intention. I took the time to look at green space across the area, and I was surprised to find that this immediate area has significantly more access to green space than parts of the Northeast just a few blocks away. In some cases, 3 to 5 times more. That does not make this loss insignificant, but it does matter when we talk about equity across our city. This was not an easy decision. It was a necessary one, because at some point, equity requires us to move from conversation to action. And for me, this vote is about making sure that black families and families who have been historically locked out finally have a real opportunity to live here, to own here, and to build something that lasts. I'm going to be voting yes.
All right. So before we move to a vote, I just want to echo all of my colleagues on the fact that this was not an easy decision, but also that this was great discourse, not only with the public and listening to the public, but also amongst each other, having the opportunity to dialogue around a very, very difficult decision. So I'm going to move us to a roll call vote.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lupien.
No.
Councilmember Martin.
No.
Councilmember Monroe.
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson.
Absolutely.
Councilmember Smith. Vice President Harris.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes. Motion carries. Chairperson Gruber, the Budget, Finance, and Governance Committee report.
To the Council, the Budget, Finance, and Governance Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introduction number 107, authorizing agreement relating to SUNY College at Brockport social work field internships. Introduction number 108, authorizing an agreement related to enterprise electronic payment processing services. Introduction number 110, authorizing receipt and use of funds related to library technology upgrades. Introduction number 111, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement relating to the Lilac Festival. The Budget, Finance, and Governance Committee recommends for consideration the following entitled legislation. Introduction number 109, a local improvement ordinance establishing the operating and maintenance costs of neighborhood commercial and residential parking areas for 26 and 27. This report was respectfully submitted by Council Member Stanley Martin, Council Member Kiera Smith, Council Vice President Lachey Harris, Council President Miguel Melendez, and myself, Mitch Gruber.
Thank you, Chairperson Gruber. That report will be received, filed, and published, and we'll proceed with the vote. Introductory number 107, authorizing agreement relating to SUNY College at Brockport social field work. Excuse me, I'm tangling up the words here. Social work field internships. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 108, authorizing an agreement related to enterprise electronic payment processing services. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 109, local improvement ordinance establishing the operating and maintenance costs of neighborhood commercial and residential parking areas for 2026-27. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith, Vice President Harris,
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes. Motion carries. Introductory number 110, authorizing receipt and use of funds related to library technology upgrades. There is a disclosure for this item. Councilmember Gruber is on the Rochester Public Library Board, but he's only required to disclose the information, may participate in discussion in the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 111, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement relating to the Lilac Festival. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Chairperson Monroe, the People, Parks, and Public Works Committee report, please.
To the Council, the People, Parks, and Public Works Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 112, authorizing an amendatory agreement related to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Park Playground renovation. Introductory number 113, bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $1,605,000 bonds of said city to finance the Honorable Willie Walker Lightfoot R. Center for Equity and Justice Site Improvements Project. Introductory number 114, authorizing an agreement for the Honorable Willie Walker Lightfoot R. Center for Equity and Justice Site Improvement Project. Introductory number 115, authorizing agreements and appropriating funds relating to the renovation of storefront space in the South Avenue garage. Introductory number 116, bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $1,200,000 bonds of said city to finance the cost of the Monroe Firehouse mechanical upgrades. Introductory number 117, authorizing an agreement relating to the Monroe Firehouse mechanical upgrades project. Introductory number 118, bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $1,144,000 bonds of said city to finance the costs of the Stone Street reconstruction project. Introductory number 119, appropriating funds and authorizing an agreement relating to the Stone Street reconstruction project, East Broad Street to East Main Street. Introductory number 123, authorizing an agreement related to Port of Rochester marina operations. Introductory number 124, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement for the Monroe County Stormwater Coalition. Introductory number 125, authorizing professional term service agreements related to environmental site assessment and remedial services. Introductory number 126, bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $2,850,000 bonds of said city to finance a portion of the costs of the 2026 water main cleaning and lining project. Introductory number 127, authorizing an agreement related to the Joseph A. Floriano Rochester Riverside Convention Center modernization project. Introductory number 128, authorizing a lease agreement with the Judicial Process Commission. Introductory number 129, authorizing an agreement related to software application services for the R Central online portal and the R Center accounting and reporting functions. Introductory number 131, authorizing a lease agreement with Blackman Achieve of Greater Rochester, Inc. The People, Parks, and Public Works Committee recommends for consideration the following entitled legislation. Introductory 120, local improvement ordinance for the care and embellishment of street malls for 2026-27. Introductory number 121, Local improvement ordinance establishing the operating and maintenance costs of special assessments for streetscape enhancements for 2026 to 27. Introductory number 122. Local improvement ordinance establishing the cost of the special work and services related to Main Street improvements of the Downtown Enhancement District for 2026-27. Introductory number 130. Local improvement ordinance providing snow removal and security services at the public market for 2026-27. This is respectfully submitted by Councilmember Mitch Gruber, Councilmember Michael A. Patterson, Vice President Lachey D. Harris, President Miguel A. Melendez Jr., and myself, Bridget A. Monroe.
Thank you, Chairperson Monroe. That report will be received, filed, and published, and will proceed with the vote. Introductory number 112, authorizing a mandatory agreement related to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Park Playground renovation. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 113, a bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $1,605,000 bonds of said city to finance the Honorable Willie Walker Lightfoot Our Center for Equity and Justice Site Improvements Project. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lupien.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe.
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith. Yes. Vice President Harris.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Introductory number 114, authorizing agreement for the Honorable Willie Walker Lightfoot Our Center for Equity and Justice Site Improvement Project. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 115, authorizing agreements and appropriating funds related to the renovation of storefront space in the South Avenue garage. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 116, a bond ordinance of the City of Rochester authorizing the issuance of $1,200,000 bonds of said city to finance the cost of Monroe Firehouse mechanical upgrades. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lupien.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe.
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith. Yes. Vice President Harris.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes. The motion carries. Introductory number 117, authorizing an agreement related to the Monroe Firehouse mechanical upgrades project. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 118, a bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $1,144,000 bonds of said city to finance the cost of the Stone Street reconstruction project. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lupien.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin. Councilmember Monroe.
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith. Yes. Vice President Harris.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes. The motion carries. Introductory number 119, appropriating funds and authorizing an agreement relating to the Stone Street reconstruction project, East Broad Street to East Main Street. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 120, local improvement ordinance for the care and embellishment of street malls for 2026-27. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lupien.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe.
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith. Yes. Vice President Harris.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Introductory number 121, local improvement ordinance establishing the operating and maintenance costs of special assessments for streetscape enhancements for 2026-27. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lupien.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe.
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Vice President Harris.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Introductory number 122, local improvement ordinance establishing the cost of special work and services related to East Main Street improvements of the Downtown Enhancement District for 2026-27. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith, Vice President Harris,
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes. Motion carries. Introductory number 123, authorizing an agreement related to the Port of Rochester Marina operations. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 124, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement for the Monroe County Stormwater Coalition. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 125, authorizing professional term service agreements related to environmental site assessment and remedial services. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 126, a bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $2,850,000 bonds of said city to finance a portion of the costs of the 2026 water main cleaning and lining project. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith, Vice President Harris,
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Introductory number 127, authorizing an agreement related to the Joseph A. Floriano Rochester Riverside Convention Center Modernization Project.
President Melendez, I have a comment.
Yes, I'm going to get right to you. There is one disclosure. It's me. I'm on the board for the Convention Center in my official capacity as council president, but I'm only required to disclose. Councilmember Lopian. Sorry.
Thanks. I just want to explain I'm a no on this one. This is investing millions of dollars into the convention center, which is something I've been very vocal about. I don't believe will move our city forward, and I would have liked to see this money spent directly on things that our people desperate need, like housing.
Thank you. All right, and we'll move, roll call.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian,
No.
Councilmember Martin,
No.
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Vice President Harris,
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Introductory number 128, authorizing a lease agreement with the Judicial Process Commission. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 129, authorizing an agreement related to software application services for the R Central online portal and for R Center accounting and reporting functions. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 130, local improvement ordinance providing snow removal and security services at the public market for 2026-27. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith, Vice President Harris,
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Introductory number 131, authorizing a lease agreement with Blackman Achieve of Greater Rochester Incorporated. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Vice President Harris, the Public Safety Committee report, please.
Thank you, President Melendez. To the Council, the Public Safety Committee recommends adoption for the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 133, authorizing agreements related to the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services 2026-27 statewide targeted reductions in inmate violent grant, STRIVE. The Public Safety Committee recommends for the following entitled legislation to be held in committee. Introductory number 132, authorizing an agreement related to the Bail credit card services. This report is respectfully submitted by Council members Mitch Gruber, LaShonda Leslie Smith, Mary Lupian, Stanley Martin, Bridget A. Monroe, Michael A. Patterson, Kiara Kiki Smith, President Miguel A. Melendez Jr., and myself, Vice President Lachey D. Harris.
Thank you, Vice President Harris. That report will be received, filed, and published, and we'll proceed with the vote. Introductory number 133, authorizing agreements related to the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services 2026-27 statewide targeted reductions in intimate violence STRIVE grant. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We are going to continue to hold introductory number 132 in committee. We got some answers back from administration, but we do want to see if we could find a vendor at a more affordable rate for that.
I do have a question from what was sent.
Yes, Councilmember Byrne.
Thank you. So in the question, so I asked what the current credit card fee people who pay bail pay. And you said 8.5%, but I read the contract and the contract says 5%. So can someone clarify the discrepancy between the response to my question and the number in the contract that was shared?
So the contract was for 5%. The current rate now that they're offering is 8.5%.
So currently, do people who use their credit card to pay bail pay 5% based in what's in the contract, or 8%?
Not here. If they're using their services here in Rochester, it's 5% because that's what the contract is. Everywhere else, or their offer for the next contract is 8.5%.
Thank you. That's very clarifying. And I have a question for the administration. I did ask about why no one was prepared to discuss the contract, as the contract was named in the legislation, and it also significantly increased the existing fee. And the response I got to my question was that the established procedure for addressing questions related to a submitted transmittal is to submit them in writing following both the Public Safety Committee review meeting and the Public Safety Committee meeting. So what you described here is distinct from the procedure we experience where people come to the committee meetings prepared to answer questions. So I looked for any memo in existence that laid out this procedure that was laid out here. So just clarify for me, are we supposed to be asking questions in the committee meetings? Are we supposed to just be writing the questions to you? Just for clarification, so I know how best to move forward.
I think that if it's more of a complex question, someone doesn't have the answer to, nobody on my team better not try to guess or stumble or make stuff up. It requires a more complex fine. Best to get it in writing. Misunderstood or wrong. But general questions, they can answer them, but if someone just I instruct.
Absolutely. That's really helpful. And that was my understanding also. So it may be helpful to, re-answer these questions, including some of what was shared here, because the answers to these questions are different from what I'm hearing now. That's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Patterson.
Yeah. When does this contract expire, and what is the implication of letting this contract expire?
We would continue to take cash. So far this year, out of 83 bails that we've received, only 4 have been by this electronic service.
Okay. So do we have a rough idea when this contract does expire, though?
I'm sure my folks do. I don't see it in front of me, but I'll get it back to you as soon as I can.
Okay. Well, we're holding.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Okay.
May 31st, 2026.
Oh, okay. So it expires the next month.
Correct.
And if we take no action, then the option of using your credit card disappears. Is that correct?
On June 1st, yes.
June 1st. So no action. It goes from paying, 8.5% to not having this option. So if you can't use your credit card, how do you pay for bail then?
It would be cash only.
Cash only. So that is the implication of holding the item and not addressing it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I think just as a final follow-up before we move on to committee of the whole, if there's any other potential options that we can consider in the next month, we would greatly appreciate us looking at that. But certainly more discussion. I would rely on the Vice President as the Public Safety Chair to follow up on this.
Yes, I'll follow Councilmember Martin and the administration.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to move us on to the Committee of the Whole report. To the Council, the Committee of the Whole recommends for the following entitled legislation to be held in committee. Introductory number 134, resolution confirming the appointment of the Commissioner of Neighborhood and Business Development. Introductory number 135, a resolution approving appointments to the Board of Ethics. This report was respectfully submitted by Council members Mitch Gruber, LaShonda Leslie Smith, Mary Lupian, Stanley Martin, Bridget Monroe, Michael A. Patterson, Kiara Kiki Smith, Vice President Harris, and myself, Miguel A. Melendez Jr. So that report will be received, filed, and published, and we will proceed with the vote. Councilmember Patterson, do you have a motion related to introductory number 134?
I offer a motion that we
discharge.
Sorry. Thank you. Discharge the item from committee.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Been seconded. So we'll vote on discharging the item from committee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we'll open it up for discussion. I'll start and just say that Commissioner Frisch, we're very excited to continue our work together with you. And I certainly expect that every member of council will unanimously support you as we move forward. But we truly appreciate the thoroughness of your work. You certainly have big shoes to fill. And we acknowledge that there's a lot of work ahead for NBD in the next several years. And we think that I think that your leadership is going to be tremendously helpful as we navigate changes in our zoning code, as we look to how we build and continue to build more housing in our city. And I just look forward to having that relationship and making sure that we move our city forward. Open up for further discussion. Councilmember Martin?
Yeah, I'm also very excited and looking forward to working with you, Commissioner Frisch. You have been extremely responsive. Your responses to the questions that came in around a very complicated issue were great. So if that's just a taste of what else you have to offer, I'm very excited and looking forward to working with you.
Council Vice President?
I echo the remarks of President Melendez and Councilmember Martin. Would also like to say you can determine the measure of a man by the people he surrounds himself around. And it was the testament when we were in committee, all of your comrades or the folks that report to you showed up with signs and the bells and whistles, and that says a lot about how you lead. So I'm looking forward to working with you.
With that, I'll move it to, actually, I'm going to do a roll call vote just so you can hear yes a couple times.
Councilmember Gruber.
I wasn't prepared to vote on this one. Yes, absolutely.
Councilmember Leslie Smith.
Emphatically, yes.
Councilmember Lupian.
Yes, absolutely.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe.
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith. Vice President Harris.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes. Congratulations, Commissioner.
Thank you so much.
All right, Vice President Harris, do you have a motion related to introductory 135, resolution approving appointments to the Board of Ethics?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 135 from committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been seconded. So let's vote on discharging introductory number 135 from committee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, we'll vote on introductory number 135. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Before we move on, I just want to make a note to my colleagues. We do have one final appointment to the Board of Ethics. It has to be an individual that is not of Democrat affiliation. So if you have recommendations for an individual that does not have Democratic Party affiliation, please submit them to me. With no further business to come before the council, we are adjourned, but we will now proceed into the RURA meeting. The meeting of the Rochester Urban Renewal Agency will come to order and ask the clerk to call the roll.
Agent Councilmember Gruber. Agent Councilmember Leslie Smith.
Here.
Agent Councilmember Lupien.
Here.
Agent Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Agent Councilmember Monroe.
Here.
Agent Councilmember Patterson.
Here.
Agent Councilmember Smith. Agent Vice President Harris.
Here.
Agent President Melendez.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Agent Patterson, the Rural Resolution Review Committee report, please.
To the Council, the Rural Resolution Review Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number URA 3, Resolution approving the Rochester Urban Renewal Agency budget, performance measures, and report. This report is respectfully submitted by myself, Michael A. Patterson, LaShonda Leslie Smith, Agent Mary Lupien, Agent Vice President Lachey D. Harris, and Agent President Miguel A. Melendez, Jr.
Thank you, Agent Patterson. That report will be received, filed, and published, and we'll proceed with the vote. Introductory number URA 3, a resolution approving the Rochester Urban Renewal Agency budget, performance measures, and report. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. With no further business to come before RURA, we are adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.
Or what?